Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is the Joe Show. I'm your host, Joseph Decker. It's been a little while since we had a show, and our last shows, man, they did really, really good. Um, Filled with coaches and players, and we kind of got everybody ready for the regions. And now we kind of let the regions pan out a little bit and get going. So now we can kind of recap the regions a little bit, but not just that. We can check in with some of the coaches who's won their region, and one of our coaches tonight, Coach David from North Oldham, actually still in his region right now, but I wanted to check in with him. North Oldham has been great this season, so really wanted to tune in, ask how he feels about the team going into their upcoming games. They got a big one against Walton Verona. We'll talk to Coach Neil Hayden from Davis, and we'll kind of talk to him a little bit, how he feels about winning that third region, the games leading up to it, and things like that. And then we'll talk to Coach Dre from J-Town, kind of talk to him, getting them out of the sixth region again, 3 of the last 4 years. We'll talk to him about that St. X matchup upcoming. That'll be a really fun game. So it's going to be a good show today. I hope you guys enjoy. And let's kind of talk about our sponsors a little bit. We add a new sponsor, B Spring Auto Sales. That's Arlen Blanton. Thanks for hopping on to the show, man, and joining as a sponsor. Remember, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, contact me through social media or my phone number. I'd love to do some business. That's Arlen Blanton and Tyler Carroll, Highway 259 North in Bee Spring, Kentucky, 270-246-0186. Thanks for coming on to the show. Clark Agritech Applicators is Cooper Clark out of Big Reedy, Kentucky. Thank you, Cooper, for sponsoring the show. Southbound Boutique and Stacey's on Main are two boutique stores in Cleveland, Kentucky. They make great clothes. They sell great clothes. They're great people, great hospitality. Someone I love doing business with. And Charity Hall Bingos in Louisville, that's Troy Deaver, longtime supporter and fan of the show. Check them out, of course. And then Grayville Funeral Home, the funeral home in Edmonson County, Kentucky. Roy Grayville, longtime supporter of the show and friend. I know he's tuning in tonight. I know he's excited for this tournament we got coming up. And then Detman Law Injury, that's Brian Detman. That is our show sponsor. They sponsor the show, teams of the week, players of the week, etc. Thank you, Brian, for the longtime support. And then our behind-the-scenes guys, Ronald Scott Lindsay, Judge Executive of Edmonson County. So we got a great line of sponsors right now and supporters. If you'd like to join the group and get things going, we'd love to have you, man. We really like to promote your business in front of our show. Doing about 10 to 11,000 viewers a show right now. We can't ask for anything better. The support's been great. So thanks for everybody continue to tune in. Tonight's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk to these coaches, kind of getting to know with them, asking them how they've been. Like I said, it's been a little bit so we've had a show. So I'm glad to have everybody tune in and us have a lot of fun. First guest tonight is going to be Coach Dre from J-Town. And let's go ahead and get him on and get him into the show tonight. Let's talk to him. Coach Dre, what's up, man? How you doing?
How you doing, Joe? Man, good to see you.
Good, dude. I'm glad to have you on here. I've had a few J-Town guys on the show, but we didn't get anybody on the coaching staff, so I had to get you on, man. Let's talk about the big win. You guys come out of the sixth region. Tell me how you feel. Talk to me about that Butler game a little bit, and how's it feel to be back? This is 3 times in 4 years, I believe.
Shout out, like I said, big accomplishment us, third in 4 years. We're excited about going back to state. Butler game, real good game. Like I said, Coach Gary gonna always have the Butler guys ready to play. Like I said, hard fought game. Like I said, glad it favored than I am. Now we're back to Rupp, man. We're gonna try to stay a little longer this time around, but we know we got a tough matchup, so we ready though. We got the boys prepared. Coach Richard Duncan and Coach Lawson, Coach Jacob, myself, getting prepared though.
No, for sure. It's fun to see J-Town back, man. We had Prince on, I think, a week and a half ago, and Prince kind of talked to us a little bit about his season he's been having, getting ready for that Fairdale game, which you came out on top. But, this was a good season for J-Town. Coming into the season, I think a lot of people, kind of underrated you all. I think in that game against DuPont Manual, I felt like a lot of people were surprised you guys competed like that. But with the roster you all had and the team you had, I don't think it was no surprise you guys competed. Then you played in some of the St. X events, and then you played in some more events around. And you guys just had really great seasons, great starts. Prince caught a lot of people off guard. You got wins over Butler County. You battled with teams like North Laurel, DuPont. So I think you guys were to a surprise to a lot of people. But, a lot of people's favorite in the sixth were PRP, Fairdale, but J-Town winning it all, gaining a lot of steam later in the season. I know me personally, J-Town has been my favorite now to win the region since about, January. I was really high on you guys. I thought you guys had all the pieces. Getting Cam back in the program was huge. But, going into this season, do you think you've kind of met those expectations? Was this something you guys knew was capable in the future and you guys could make this happen? Or was this a season where you guys were like, we're going to have to build going down into the year? We don't know how this year will be. How did you guys kind of feel going into this year?
Uh, we kind of like knew we'll be in a running for it. Like I said, this team we kind of had this team all summer. Even like I said, Cam was with us the summer, we kind of before he left. So our expectations always had like a J Town Coach Duncan. It's like state or bust. If we feel like we don't pick region, we feel like we got a bust sure. So with that being said, like I said, we prepared for it all summer, all fall, got to where we got to, and like I said, we accomplished the mission at hand.
Of course, we got to talk about this roster, man, because it's fun. You know, you got two good, great guards in the backcourt between Davon and Prince. And then, Cam coming back. Cam is a beast, man. I think a lot of people forgot just how good of a player he is and how beneficial he is to this team. In our opinion, over at Next Up, we have him ranked. We have him as the best unsigned senior in the state of Kentucky. So he's a great player, man. Whoever gets him at the next level, I think he's going to be blessed with a big-time talent. And he's really fun to watch. Tell me about getting Cam back, getting him to come back home and playing for y'all. How big of a, addition has he been?
Like I said, Cam is one of the ones. Like I said, you don't find too many players like Cam. Big guard, physical, shoot the ball, handle the pass, defends when he feel like it. Like I said, when we got the word, kind of Cam came back. It was like I said, a blessing for us again. Like I said, he fit right in because, like I said, Cam was a part of our summer team, so he did get to play about a month and a half with those guys as well. So, like I said, Cam coming back, that gave us an extra boost. It helped our physicality a lot as well too. Like I said, and his size kind of helped out rebound and just being more physical. Like I said, he fit right in with the guys. So, like I said, it was a plus. Like I said, you don't find too many Cam McDaniels, and I think the biggest thing he helped with was experience. Cam was on both of our first two state teams. So, like I said, he knows what it takes to get down the rough. He played in it. He watched it as a freshman. So, like I said, just him bringing the experiments and pushing the guys even a lot more. That was probably the biggest help that he brought us back.
No, for sure. And the coaching staff, man, you guys got one of the best staffs, and in the state of Kentucky. You guys are very proud about that. The work you all have put in, winning things. Tell me about the guys around the program too. The coaches. I know Coach Duncan has kind of been bombarded with interviews and talking to these media outlets and stuff, but kind of tell me about the guys that kind of help these players get to where they're at.
But like I said, Coach Duncan, he's the leader of our ship, man. Richard Duncan, to me, one of the most underrated, blessed coaches as possible. Like I said, he helps prepare the guys well. He trusts in us also as assistant like me, Coach Lawson, Coach Jacob, our strength coach. He does a great job. Coach Dirk, one of our older mentor coaches. But like I said, Coach Duncan, if he's not top five, you kind of kidding. But like I said, Coach Duncan does a great job of help preparation. He prepares the boys well. And he also let them be them. Like, he doesn't take away from none of our kids' game. Like I said, we got a shoot if you open policy. The worst thing he'll tell the players, hey, you have to play on the other end. But like I said, Coach Duncan's a great job. And we all been together 5 years now.
Yeah.
So, like, during the games, we're on top of each other. Like, Coach will look at us, hey, what do you think, Lawson? What do you think, Whaley? So he lets us opinionate. If we find something good for the team, he'll be like, hey, we're going to go with your idea, or we're going to go with your idea. So, like I said, Coach Duncan's real great. Lawson, like I said, with us being together so long, it just fits. Like, we always on cue with things. So people say we the best coaching staff. Like, we think we the best, but it is a lot of great staffs out here.
No, for sure. You guys got to be up there in any rankings for sure. Just, the guys all around. I'll talk to you about this, man. In the corner right of the graphic, the Sweet 16, it's coming up. We're getting every day, we're getting closer and closer to the Sweet 16. I think we're 10 days away from your all's matchup on Wednesday, March 26th against St. X. And, St. X, to a lot of people, is the favorite. They've not lost to an in-state Kentucky opponent all year. They're great. They're greatly coached. They got great talent. Tell me about going into that game, man. Tell me how you kind of see St. X as a team and what makes them special.
Like I said, one, St. X itself is kind of self-explanatory. They have not lost to a Kentucky team. Yeah. I think they ranked number one since they beat the Great Crossing game. They have bigs. They have guards that can shoot it. They have guards that can defend. They're disciplined. They share the ball. Like, any type of check mark you want to put on those guys, like I said, they are who they are. So, like I said, kind of shout out to them. But like I said, our guys right now, they love the challenge. Like I said, when you facing a challenge like this, like you said, we're the underdog. People already counting St. X. Like I told them, go do something that ain't nobody in Kentucky did. Try to be the first to beat them. Or worst case scenario, just go out there and compete, man. But like I said, our guys is pretty pumped up and ready. We was supposed to play them in the regular season. It got snowed out, and we was very excited. We was very excited to play them. But like I said, we one of the snow days, so it got canceled. So now we get to show them like that we can compete with them. But like I said, those guys is good. It's like they're saying that they not who they are for no reason.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're there where they're at for a reason. They're a great team. It's going to be a fun matchup. There's a lot of good first-round matchups that's still to be determined and some that's already been determined. And it's hard to find a more entertaining one than the 6th and 7th matching up. I know some people's not for it. They don't like it. But I know it's going to be a big game. And I feel like on each side you can view it, to make it to the state championship, to make it past the next round, you got to play the best of the best. and you might have two of the best matching up first round. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I want to talk about a few more guys on the roster before I hold you too long there, Coach. Breon Faulkner is an energy guy. He plays great defense. He's one of my personal favorite players in the city of Louisville just because of the energy he plays with. He's a great athlete. He talks a little bit on the floor, but he's got a reason to. He's a great defender, man. Tell me about a few more guys on this roster. I know we hinted on Prince. I know we hinted on Day and Cam, but, Demir, there's multiple guys on this roster who deserve their respect and flowers. Let's talk about them a little bit.
Okay, since you mentioned Breon is your energy guy.
Yeah.
He's just full of energy in everyday life. I think Breon wakes up on 10, ready to go, ready to play. And you always need some guys like that. Like he's a funny favorite guy. Everybody loves Breon. But one thing what Breon will do, he's gonna leave it all out there on the floor. No matter what goes on, Breon's gonna give you 110%, night in, night out. He's willing to do the small things for the team. So it's good to have Breon. Demir and Brenton Clark, the Clark's brothers. Like I said, Demir, he merged into a leader for us. Like I said, he's one of the few guys who was on last year's roster, so he knows what the expectations is and what to expect. So he's been a vocal and mental leader. His brother Britton came over from Fern Creek this year. He's one of our solid role players. He understands his role, great defender, makes open shots. LaRon Westmoreland, super sophomore, didn't play as much last year as a freshman, but like I said, until Cam got back, LaRon been holding down the inside for us. The last 6 games, Ron's averaging like 10 and 10, so he's doing the dirty work for us inside. We got another sophomore that don't too many people talk about, one of our backup point guards, Davion Glenn, solid guard, was at the sales last year, another one of our transfer guys. He helps give Day and them a blow, handles the ball well, great point guard, gets everybody involved, and he will defend. And like I said, Prince is Prince, and like I said, Day's merged into being a team player. Like I said, being on the Moore team, like I said, he was one dimension kind of a scorer. Now he's learning how to get other guys involved and still get himself involved. So we're running about 8-9 deep right now in the playoffs, and everybody's contributing in the best way they can.
No, for sure, Coach. It's a really fun team. You guys have had a fun season. I know there were some people who kind of laughed at me when I said J-Town was my favorite out of that region, but I think you guys kind of proved a lot of people wrong. I think you guys battled that Butler team, and you and Butler, two of the best teams in the state, so it was fun to see you all match up, came out on top. There are a lot of J-Town fans tuning in, Coach. I'll leave you off with one last question. Say something to the fans out there watching.
J-Town, come support us. Be ready. We're going to give it all, and we want to pack Rupp Arena with maroon and white. So J-Town fans, come on now and be ready for a show.
Coach, thanks for hopping on, man. It's good to talk to you. We'll see you at Rupp, man. Best of luck, bro.
Thank
you. See you, man. Of course. That was Coach Dre from J-Town coming in and talking on the show. Always good to talk to our guys at J-Town. Great, fun team. But now we're going to kind of switch things over a little bit. Let's welcome Coach David from North Oldham onto the show. We had Austin Sears on the show probably 2 months ago to talk a little bit about his season so far. But let's talk to Coach David. Let's get him in here. Coach David, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Man. It's been too long. I had to reach out to Coach Spencer at Mail to get your contact. We had to get this show on the road and get things going, man. But let's talk about North Oldham, baby. You guys got a big game coming up. A lot of people all year long, you guys have been the favorite in the 8th. I think, it was kind of between you guys and South. And you guys have had South's number so far through the season. But, that's a hard team. Those are good wins. But, kind of tell me about this Walton-Verona game coming up, man, and how you feel getting into it.
Yeah, we actually played them first game of the year. We were a little bit of a different team then. We played man-to-man at that point in the season. Now we haven't played man-to-man since December 27th or something, maybe 28th, whatever it was, that Christmas tournament. So we switched to our matchup zone since we played Walton-Verona. But, yeah, they're a really good team. They're well coached. They have a really good player, Aaron Gutman, who's probably one of the – I think he's the best player forward in our region for sure. Wing. He's real athletic, good shooter. We'll have our hands full. They have good shooters around him, but he's the main guy, and we're going to have to stop him because in the first game we played him, we did not stop him.
Yeah, Aaron Gutman, man, he's a beast. And, we got to talk about North Oldham, man. You talk about some adjustments you all made around Christmas, and, you can just look from the schedule, and you can just look from wins. There has kind of felt like it's been a switch, a program flipping away. Like just you guys have been playing so much differently. Since December 29th, you guys have lost 2 games. One was in that late game battle against St. X, and then one was to Butler only by 2. So, you guys are, a possession or two away from being undefeated, this whole new year. Kind of tell me what some of the things have been that you guys have swapped, and what's kind of happened, what's kind of made this things change, what's kind of got these guys, playing their best basketball. Was there a flip the switch? Was it maybe the zone switch you talk about? What do you think you're seeing out of the guys differently that you saw at the start of the year?
Well, we lost all 5 of our starters this year. So coming into this year, we have a whole new starting 5. So I was kind of learning a lot in December. When you get into the King of the Bluegrass and those Christmas tournaments, you're playing so many games so fast, so you don't really get time to practice. And kind of at the second Christmas tournament when we played at Henry County, I started to realize that we weren't very good at man-to-man. So we started playing zone full time, and our guys have really adapted to it. They've done really well at it. The year we actually made the state tournament, we played zone the entire season. The next year we played man. Last year we weren't good at the zone, and this year this team has just really figured out the matchup zone, and it's kind of taken off. Our offense has really never been a problem this year. We have really good guards. We have our transfer, our center, Colin Daniels, who is a quarterback for our football team. He's really come on in the last, basically since January 1, he's really started to find his footing, learn how to play with the guys since he was a transfer. So him being a transfer, but the zone has really helped. But we lost all 5 starters, so it took time. Austin Sears obviously has been our guy we've looked to a lot this year. He's been really good as a freshman, which didn't surprise me because you could always tell he had a lot of talent. But we have a lot of guys around him that do a lot of good different things.
No, for sure. And I think that's something you kind of hit on Austin a little bit. I think the offense you guys run is a lot of fun. Watching you all play at the KOB, that was something that really intrigued me, was watching that guard play, watch your all's offense. It was a lot of fun. But the guard rotation you guys have is very, very, very strong. Kind of talk to me about this roster. We talk about Pierre, we talk about Austin Brooks, we talk about those guys a lot. I think Tommy Gregg is one of the most undervalued guys in the state. We have, I talk highly about him. He's a great kid, one of the best sophomores, probably in the state of Kentucky. I think we, top 12, 13 type guy, maybe higher, but just kind of tell me about this roster.
Yeah.
What makes these guys so special?
Well, Brooks, for example, last year was a shooter, and basically coming into the season, I was like, you got to play point guard this year because I didn't want Sears to have the ball in his hands the entire game, all the game. So basically, Brooks took the role on, and he's been really good for us. I mean, he's a strong guard, he's a really good shooter, but he's really taken the point guard role and really become a point guard. And he honestly, his first couple of years playing varsity, all he was really a shooter. He could put the ball on the floor, but he's really taking the point guard role on. He's been really good all year. In the game against, I think it was Southland the second time, he had 12 rebounds. So, he can score and rebound, good defender. Like I mentioned, Austin, he's just a really good basketball player. He's super poised. He doesn't get sped up very often. He has a lot of composure for his age, and in these games with big crowds, he never really seems to get rattled. He lets the game come to him. If he doesn't shoot a shot in one whole quarter, you don't even notice because in the second quarter, he'll just get going. He lets the game come to him. And, you mentioned Tommy Gregg. He's interesting because he actually didn't even start freshman last year. He's one of those kids that he's kind of slow-footed, and he's starting to grow into his body, and I could always tell he had a lot of ability. And then I think people saw at the King of the Bluegrass when I think it was Adair County when he didn't miss a shot. I think he had 24 points, something like that. But he's a really good basketball player. He's got a lot of skill. And honestly, he's one of those players in like a year or two when he's a junior and senior, I would expect him to be a very sought-after player from colleges. He's that good and has that much ability, and he's really come on this year. And then our last guy that are really, Gray Schmidl's our football guy. He's really athletic, 5'10", all-state receiver, plays really hard. And then Colin Daniels, our other football guy, has been probably the key to our team. He's really good in the zone defense. It's a 5-man. If you go back and watch any of our games, he probably saves 8 to 9 baskets a game, literally just with his help side. So it's the things you don't notice is the things he does. He's a good rebounder. But yeah, he's been a huge key to our team. So, we have a balanced roster. And I think, when you play in the King of the Bluegrass and all these tough tournaments, and you go, so our region, we did the first game, waited another week for the game tomorrow, but then you have to play back-to-back on Tuesday if you're lucky enough to win tomorrow. So I think our guys, if we are fortunate enough to win tomorrow, I think that we're built enough to where the games we've played back-to-back and the competition we've played that we'll be ready to play again on Tuesday, just obviously one game at a time and have to get it done tomorrow.
No, for sure, Coach. You have these guys. As I know as a coach, it's got to be so difficult. you talk about these guys, Tommy Gregg didn't play too much, last season. A lot of these guys didn't really get big time moments to shine last year because you had, those seniors, those older guys starting. How do you kind of keep those guys in a positive mindset? Because, somebody who's on the bench could get down and be like, you know what, I might never get to show my full potential. What Brooks Cargill,
Yeah.
now this year, he's showing his whole full skill, all he can do, turn it into a college level player. How do you keep those guys in a right mindset? Because we see so many times today, guys will quit early, guys will give up, maybe try a new sport, kind of move away from something. If, especially as a junior, if you've not really got a time to shine, it can be a little hard on kids. So how have you kind of kept those guys in those right mindsets? How do you keep guys in a positive mind space when things aren't going right as a coach?
I mean, I think it's super important to my assistant coaches are really good too. Like my JV coach, my main assistant varsity coach, Coach Thurman. They do a really good job of keeping kids engaged. Our varsity team is actually super young. If you look at our bench, I think we have 5 or 6 sophomores on the bench, a freshman. We have 1 junior, and then Pierre, who's a 7th grader. So our bench is super young. So they're in varsity practice every day competing. Pierre actually broke his finger, so he's not able to play in the region tournament. So if you're wondering where he's at, he broke his finger. But yeah, no, just keeping our individual development. We'd probably do, I don't know, speak for other coaches, but we do a lot of individual development, skill work. So keeping those guys involved with older kids, not putting them in a place where they don't feel wanted. And then because you never know what kids are going to be like. Tommy Gregg didn't even dress varsity last year until the region tournament. Now he's one of our key players. So just keeping him engaged, understanding that one day it'll be his time, and then just keeping all these other kids engaged because, like I said, they're in varsity practice every day. So they're getting a chance to do scout team. And you never know his number is going to be called, especially when a kid like Pierre gets hurt who played 15, 16 minutes a game when he was healthy. You never know when your number is going to be called. So just having these kids ready to play.
We got to talk about Pierre, though. I know he's out right now, but, I think he caught a lot of people's eye. Especially at KOB. And, he's got a lot of similar skills to his dad. Rajan, he plays, I feel like, super composed. You kind of speak about Austin, but you got 2 guards who I feel like never let the moment get too big. They play really composed. They don't get sped up. Kind of tell me how good he's been, as a 7th grader, coming in, making these impacts. I think it was South Laurel where he had a huge game. So kind of just tell me, how good it's been to have a guy like that who's so young, but can understand things early and make such a positive impact despite, being a middle schooler.
Well, yeah, they told me he was good, and he's got the last name Rondo. Obviously, I grew up watching his dad play, so I knew how good that his dad was in the NBA. And they told me he was really good, and he would come to practice. And as the days went on, I was like, oh, this kid's actually like, if he was a freshman, you'd be like, oh, this kid can really play like right now. And we kind of brought him along slow. He started playing some freshman games, started playing some JV games. He was always on varsity. Didn't really play in the first couple varsity games. We got him up to speed, and then by the time of the King of the Bluegrass, I was like, all right, it's just time. Like, we got to, I think he's ready. And I think it was the South Florida. He played good in all the King of the Bluegrass games, to be honest. He was a big reason of why we won some of those games, and even in the games we lost, he was a big reason why we were even close. And when we played Frederick Douglass and the team from Arkansas. But yeah, he's a really good player. He's been taught, obviously, very well how to play the game. He's just, literally, like I said, if you would have thought, if you watched him on a day and you're like, oh, he's a sophomore, you'd be like, he's a really good sophomore. And then you're just reminded, like, oh, he's only a 7th grader. So, yeah, no, he's only going to get better, obviously. He's got the skill. His mind is so far advanced for if he was 15 or 16, and the fact he's only 13, it just shows how special he's going to be. And obviously, we wish we had him in this tournament. He was really good at, just giving our other guards a break on the ball. Like if I wanted to get Brooks off the ball, but obviously with his broken finger, he's gonna have to wait for his time.
No, for sure. Coach, you're still one of the younger coaches in the state, but you've not been. It's not like this is your 1st or 2nd year with North Oldham. I think this is year 7, if I'm not wrong. So tell me, going into this part of the season, I know you coached that long. 7 years. It's honestly longer than it seems. You've got to see a lot of different type of stereotypes, players, feels. Teams show similarities. Looking at the spot you're at right now, is there any previous team you've had that's kind of, you feel like you've kind of been in this spot before? You've had guys like this. Maybe you've been going into a region game like this. Does this team show any similarities to the past?
This is actually a really unique team because I didn't think we were going to be very good this year, and I didn't think we were going to be bad. I just didn't really know what to expect. When you lose 5 starters, and the 5 starters, 2 of our starters last year played college. One plays at Bellarmine, one plays at center. The 3rd senior easily could have played college. So you just don't know what to expect from year to year. This team it's not near the most talented team I've ever had because the team went to state tournament. That team was very, very good. And the following year, we were top 5 in the state. The whole year, we just got blown out of the gym by Woodford.
Yeah.
Jasper Johnson got us to go back to state that next year, and obviously, he went on to be an unbelievable player. He's going to be a good college player. So yeah, this team is not like a team I've ever really had before. They've gelled together. We have 2 football only not only guys, obviously they play basketball, but 2 guys who are football first players that have really done an unbelievable job mixing with our basketball guys and our young guys and being leaders. The only similarity this team has to the team that made the previous, this is a zone team. They've been really good at the matchup zone. Last year we were 26-6 and we played zone probably twice. We were terrible at it. So, these guys have adapted well, but this is not the most talented team I've ever had. This is probably the best team I've ever had it playing together though, and understanding their roles. Their roles are very defined and they really know how to feed off each other and play together and, do what each player's best at.
Coach, I want to switch it a little bit. Getting to play, spend your college career at Louisville. A lot of people looked up to you, out in the area. A lot of people really respected you as a player. It was a fun career for sure. I know being a Louisville alumni, it has to feel good to see them getting things going and getting in the positive direction. Again, tell me a little bit. We had Josh Carrier on here who played at Kentucky, and he talked about how Mark Pope had kind of flipped the program for Kentucky and got it back rolling. I know it's got to feel good to see what PK has done at Louisville. Talk to me a little bit about that, seeing them get back in a positive direction.
I mean, yeah, it's been great. I grew up a Louisville fan my whole life. I was lucky enough to play there. And we don't have an NBA team here. So, when Louisville's not doing good, the city is, depressed, I would say. But now that Louisville basketball is back, it's just good for the city. Everybody's so locked in. He's done an unbelievable job in year 1, regardless of how the ACC is. If you would have ever said that, I think they're 26-7 or something, and they didn't get the best seed in the tournament. I don't know why they got an 8 seed, but the fact that they got to hear their name called on Selection Sunday, and he's got a 5-star coming in next year. I think he has a 5. Doesn't he have a 5-star coming in next year? Yeah. So he's got a 5-star coming in. I'm sure he'll hit the portal, so we can maybe make a little bit of a run in the tournament, and then in year 1 to have this good of a season. ACC Coach of the Year, runner-up in the tournament, losing to probably the best team in the country. I don't know they didn't have Cooper Flagg, but still, they would be a top 15 team in the country if Cooper Flagg wasn't on that roster. So they've done really good. It's been great. I went to a lot of games this year, saw a lot of people that you would not have seen in the last couple of years back at games, a lot of former players, a lot of my buddies. So, yeah, no, it's been great, and I hope they can make a run.
No, for sure, Coach. Had to ask you about that. Coach, it's been a fun year. I think it was really, really cool to hear you talk about how you didn't expect the team to be as good as they were this season. It's really been fun to watch North Oldham shine. Love the guard play. Love the way this team plays. You guys, like I said, you've been a possession or 2 away from beating, having some other wins on your plate. So it's been a really good season, man. It's not over yet. I'll ask you one last question. We won't hold you too much longer. Tell me about this game coming up, where people can watch it, what day it is, and what time, so all the fans can.
Yeah, so our region, the 8th region, we did back-to-back. So tomorrow night we have 2 games. We play Walton Verona, South Oldham, Spencer play after us. So we're at 6:30. They're at 8 o'clock. Winners play at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. If you can't go to the game, you can go to YouTube, go to GlideCod. GlideCod does a great job of streaming games, have announcers, scoreboard, everything. So that's good. But obviously love all them, the North Oldham people to come out tomorrow night against Walton Verona. Got to get a little revenge back on them for beating us in the first game, and hopefully we can have a good performance and then play on Tuesday night, one more game, and see what happens.
Coach, I lied. One more thing. A lot. I know I talked to Coach Tony. Not Coach Tony. Talked to Tony before the show, Tony Sears, and he said he was going to show this and send it out to everybody so all the North Oldham fans could tune in. A lot of North Oldham fans tuning in, say something to them and how they've helped this year so much.
Yeah, they've been great. We have such good support. We have a lot of games, not just the South OC games, but other games, St. X games, where our gym is completely full. Our fans travel well, our students travel well, and they've been big supporters of me in the last 7 years. I started off coaching, obviously, at a really, really young age, and they took me in and supported me. The kids have, stayed with me all through the years. We've hardly lost any good players, hardly any at all, honestly, players in general. So, they've been great supporters of me and the community and the kids, and we have great parents, and we need as many as we get out at the game tomorrow night.
Of course, Coach, thanks for tuning in, man. It was good to talk to you. We hope to talk to you again before state time if you guys make it, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Coach David, for hopping on. That was Coach David of North Oldham. Great season for them, man. Coach David Levitch does a great job up there. They've been a great team. It's crazy to think he's already been coaching there 7 years. So I think he's been there since he was about 23. One of the best young coaches in the state of Kentucky. He's done a great job, man. Our next coach coming up, he's been on the show, I think, twice before today's show. Coach Neil Hayden from Davis County. So a little bit of a veteran on the show, but it's really good to have him back. And winning the third region, Davis County, it was good to see him. It was good to see them get it back. They have a really talented roster. Let's just go ahead and get him so we can talk to him and ask him some questions on here. We got a great graphic of him cutting that net. So, Coach Neil, what's up, man? Glad to have you back on the show. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Coach, I got to ask you this. It felt like Davis County going into this season was obviously going to be a favorite. And then when you get into the tournament, you match up with Butler County, who you had played last season. And, they got that win over you. And like last year, it kind of felt like you guys were the two best teams. And it sucked you all had to match up so early. And this year, it kind of felt like the same thing again. Kind of going into that game against Butler County, was there any, kind of extra motivation, extra determination to win that game? Because I feel like last year, whoever came out of that game was going to win it. So, was it kind of felt like that this year a little bit too when y'all matched up?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said it didn't mean something. Anytime that your team ends your season the year before that, you don't let that go. Any competitor in anything, not just high school basketball, you're going to eat on that. And our guys were reminded of that game for various reasons throughout this past year. But at the same time, there's a balance of being present and working on what you need to and moving on. And I think every year, even if you have, like we had 4 starters return, but this team had a different identity than we did a year ago. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah, they heard about the game in that regional tournament a year ago.
Yeah. No, it was a great season. You guys are 25-6 going into the state tournament. You guys went 17-3 in the region. Really handled the region, man. No real bad losses. I feel like all of the losses you guys had were a possession or two away from winning. Mm-hmm. You had to go play at Breck, which is a hard place to play. But, you get in a battle with Grayson County, multi-overtime, and, there's a few possessions you're undefeated in the region. So to see this year's Davis team, you guys really lived up to that hype. How were you guys kind of able to deal with that pressure? Because I know we talked earlier in the season and we talked to Jonathan and you guys knew what you could be. You knew the possibilities. But in the third region, where it felt like there was 5 to 6 really good teams, how do you think you guys kind of really dealt with that pressure and made things happen and stayed composed? And like you said, kind of stayed in the moment.
I think the number of things. One, it goes back to our summer. We went out and played. We won the team camp at WKU. We went and played Collins. We hosted a bunch of games where we played a competitive schedule. I think that gave our guys some confidence going into the upcoming season. And then I also want to credit our 3 seniors that we've got who have been instrumental more than just this year, but have really dialed in like seniors are supposed to, especially the back half of the season. I can't say enough about those guys and what they bring to not only to practice, but to our games. And then you have players and, I know De'Aaron and Jay get a lot of the limelight and deservingly so. But we've got a roster that wants to compete. And I've said this many times, the best thing I can say about my players is they're basketball players. They want to play. They want to go hoop, and they've been a fun group to be around.
No, for sure. Those 2 guys with Jonathan and De'Aaron, they really do get a lot of the spotlight and attention. But I think, honestly, during this region, probably the most impressive guy to me was Aiden Ayer. I think he stepped up and he played great. I think you see that clip of him diving on the ball, just completely putting his body on the line. Yeah. I think it kind of embraces the culture you guys have around and the way you guys play and the effort. And it's just, man, you guys just play so well together. Jonathan, you look at Jonathan Moss and you think, man, Grayson County, he has 29 points. This guy's a strict scorer, but he's such a good playmaker. He gets guys involved. Talk to me a little more about Joseph Barble, Aiden Ayer, Jaxo Brown, a few more of these, Caden Payne, who came in and plays minutes. Talk about a few of these other guys who make this team what it is.
Yeah, even look at our team statistically, we're the best team in the state from the free throw line. We're one of the most efficient teams, field goal percentage. And that's not just because we have 2 guys. That's a collective group. Even our 3-point team field goal percentage is up there in the top 15 in the state. We've been pretty efficient with what we want to do because you can't just sit on one guy. But even the play that you're talking about with Aiden diving It's one of my favorite plays I've been part of my 23 years of coaching, and his dedication to sacrifice his body more than just that play, but throughout his time playing at Davis County has been remarkable. These guys have just really dialed in as we got into the district tournament, and have been a really connected group.
No, for sure. So, going into this season, it felt like there was two top teams in the state. A lot of people, Great Crossing and St. X.
Mhm.
And we seen the third region paired with the 11th region, and we didn't know necessarily who it was going to be. Was it going to be Great Crossing? Was it going to be Station? Was it going to be Frederick Douglass? And those are three of the top 5 teams I feel in the state of Kentucky. And, you kind of knew you were going to have to run into one of them if you made it out the third. And, you guys make it out the third in your match with Great Crossing. And, Malachi was just named Mr. Basketball
Mhm.
moments ago. And, that team has so much attention and talent. And, going into those games, there's so much talk. This is going to be a blowout game. Nobody's going to beat Great Crossing. This is their year. How do you keep these guys composed and ready? Because, like I kind of talked to Coach David, these guys can get in their head really easy.
Sure.
Players can kind of get down on themselves quick. How have you guys kind of been approaching some practices, talking about the game, moving forward? How have you been able to keep these guys positive and, kind of keep the media out of it? Because people's always saying stuff, and it's hard not to want to look at your phone and listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. Well, the third region is a little different than like what's going on with the 8th. We've been done since Tuesday. So we've actually had a little bit of a break where we gave our guys a couple of days off. We've been doing some individual workouts, and we'll really get kicked off getting ready for the game this week. Listen, all was in the world of social media, and there's being so many different outlets now. It's just part of it. It's all that stuff has trickled into high school, so it's nothing new. These guys have, if you want to say they've been hearing stuff all year, they've heard stuff the last 2 years. Jonathan Moss has been hearing stuff since he was in elementary school.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. But you also have pride and egos that can kick in. So you want to make sure that we're constantly talking about being connected and doing what's best for the team. And another thing, kids know, they know who we're playing, and it's more than just Mr. Basketball that we're facing.
Yeah.
And that's a really good team. And I think, back to what I was saying about my team, like, they're basketball players. I think our guys are going to be ready to play in this game.
Sure.
And I think they're excited about the draw. And you said it just a minute ago. Once you get to this point, there's not a bad team. So you're going to have, if you're going to win, you're going to have to play one of these teams anyway. So what a way to get it kicked off.
No, for sure. And I think people complain about draws sometimes and get upset, but man, you got to play these teams no matter what to make it to that area. So, it's never going to be easy. State's not meant to be easy. I know people consider the 15th, 14th region weaker, but those teams, they're still great teams. They're the best in that area. So it means a lot. I want to talk about Jonathan a little more because I'm a great friend. I love Jonathan's game. I love him as a person. And I feel like he's a hard player as a fan not to want to fall in love with, watching him play, and then just his really humble mentality. Tell me how great of a player he's been, because last year, a lot of people still kind of underrated him, and then he has that huge game against Butler. But this year, he's not just kind of shown he's a scorer. He's shown he's a great teammate, great facilitator. How does he kind of, as him being the point guard, how does he kind of keep this team, together, and how big has he been this year? And just kind of tell us how special of a player he is.
Oh, I could fill up an hour of talking about him. He's, first and foremost, he's a great kid. He's a tireless worker. He's, whether it's been him coming in the mornings or staying after, he's a hooper. But his vision to see the next play or the play ahead is remarkable. He made a couple of shots in the regional final, some step backs that, you can't teach that. That's him and the hours that he has spent and the years he has spent in the gym. But he's an unselfish kid. He wants to win, and he has seen so many double teams. He is really just willing to make the right read. So if that means he's got to pass, that's fine. And honestly, occasionally it's him saying, "Why didn't you shoot the ball?" to his teammates. He's a competitor. And then in the second half of the regional final, like, honestly, as a coach, it's not a better feeling than knowing that you've got the best player on the floor and the smartest kid on the floor. And once he started making some shots, you're like, okay, this is his game.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
No, for sure. And I think he's definitely a fan favorite, but for good reason. Coach, the Davis County support has been great. I know people will say with the event being in Owensboro, but no, man, the support and the fans filling up the building was crazy. Lots of people staying after. I think the floor was full. So many pictures. It was just a really great, surreal moment to be around. And I seen, the moment you shared with your wife after, an emotional moment. But, man, it's so big for this Davis County community. Kind of talk to me about that fan support and the community you guys have had cheering for you this season. I know that they travel as well. I went to the Grayson County game. They come along as well. They don't just watch the home games. So kind of talk to me about that community and support, and even hit on the coaching staff around you, because I know Coach Payne's tuning in and some of the guys. So just kind of tell me, there's a lot of things that go into making a team special, and I think you guys have a lot of it clicking in, and a big reason is that fan support. So tell me about them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there for 10 years, and it's a neat place. There's some great people, some great alumni. I've been there long enough now. I got former players that are old enough that they're coming to games or even bringing their kids.
Yeah.
It's been really neat. And, it's one of the things that I appreciate us getting to do this is not only for these 16 players on the varsity roster, but also the community that's been behind us. There's been a lot of people behind the scenes, former coaches, just alumni, former principal, that they're just extremely supportive. They come out to our games on a Tuesday night when Kentucky's playing.
Yeah.
It's been a joy to get to share this with those people. And then I think Coach, the other part of the question was the coaching staff was, there's Coach Payne, who's been with me my entire time at Davis. Jordan Ferguson is an assistant. We know each other back to my playing days when his dad was one of my coaches. And then I coached Jordan when I was at Apollo as an assistant. So we've been together through a lot for, nearly 20 years. And then I got other staff members that have just tirelessly worked, sacrificed their time. Got a guy, Ray Smith, that was with me at Apollo that followed me over to Davis. And it's just a remarkable group of people that makes it a lot of fun to go to work.
No, for sure. Coach, it's been a really fun season. It's not over yet. I think, like I told him earlier, I think we're 10, 11 days for that state game against Great Crossing, and it's going to be a battle, man. It's been fun to watch you guys pan out. The guys continue to grow, get better. What we mentioned, the fan support. It's just been a really fun year, Coach. I want you to kind of hit me off with one last question. Kind of talk to me about the fans tuning in, because there's a lot of fans tuning in. I know they're watching. Leave them off with something, and, we'll be done tonight.
Yeah, anybody that maybe is not from Owensboro that hadn't seen us play, you're going to see a team that we try to play in space. We primarily play a lot of man, but we'll mix in a little bit of zone. I think we're a fun team to watch, an unselfish team, and we're really fun to watch when we play unselfish. We've got some length, and we've got some guys that can stretch the floor out. So it's a great group. I think we'll give our best effort, and will be a fun team to watch at the state tournament.
For sure. Coach, it's always good talking to you, man. Thanks for coming on again tonight. And, best of luck moving on forward into the state tournament. Of course. See you, Coach. That was Coach Neil Hayden tuning into the show tonight. We had a great group of coaches tune in tonight. We had 3 coaches tune in. Coach Neil, then we had Coach David Levitch, and then we had Coach Dre from Draytown. We had planned Coach Cleaver to come on the show tonight and talk from Callaway County, but he's at the Mr. Basketball event for Jonah Butler. So we're going to get him on soon, and we're going to check in and talk to him soon, of course. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's show. We didn't go as long as normal. We've only went about 43 minutes, but I just want to kind of talk to these coaches, get their eyes, get their feel, how they're thinking going into these games before the region, and some even before the state. Some of these state tournaments are already filled out, and some of these sides of the bracket before we get there. So Selection Sunday just happened. March Madness just happened. A lot of people's excited for that. They're excited for time to come. So I'll kind of tell you what we got coming up for the show. We'll have another preview before the state tournament. We'll talk about it. We'll have another show like this where a few more region-winning coaches come on and talk, and players probably this weekend coming up or maybe after. But honestly, you could shoot for the next 2-3 days. We'll be having a show talking about March Madness, looking to get maybe some March Madness influencers on here. I know there's some people around the states who love to talk about March Madness and basketball, and it's a hard bracket to fill out. I'm already struggling. There's been a few times between the show I'll click over to a tab and make sure how I'm looking at this bracket. It's just so hard when the brackets drop not to be fully intrigued by them, and it's going to be a fun March Madness. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to probably do a show incorporating that. We got more shows coming up about region, and then we'll do our big show before state. Me and Lavelle Martin will more than likely be teaming up and doing another show soon on his side of the thing to talk about the state tournament. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight's show. I think it's been a lot of fun tonight. Everybody, make sure to share this, share the live to some of your friends and people tuning in. Make sure the fan bases can see it and appreciate it. And all the people in Owensboro have the ability to listen to Coach Neal, and all the people in Oldham County talking to Coach David. So make sure everybody gets to see this show and get to share it, and it's all reached out to the communities. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight's show. This has been Joseph Decker with The Joe Show, the #1 Kentucky high school basketball podcast in the state. God bless, and tune in next time on our next show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is the funnest time of the year for basketball. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll talk again soon. Keep supporting the show. Keep being great. Enjoy this March Madness and this month, because this is when basketball gets really fun. I want to thank everybody for tuning in.